Redneck Outdoor Channel.
What's going on, guys? Taylor Carney with the Redneck Outdoor Channel here. I just got started skinning this here bobcat, and I thought, well, we're well into season here, and I got a lot of friends wanting to get into trapping and stuff, and so I thought, well, I'll do a quick video on the different kinds of traps and when you kind of use each different one. So anyhow, set this dude aside. 20-pound female there I caught this morning, but we'll start with the simplest, the one I think everybody kind of knows about, and that's a live trap. You start using these when you're a kid. You catch anything from rabbits to opossums, caught a lot of squirrels and raccoons. There's different size ones. You can catch smaller critters in them, mink or whatever, and you can get even bigger ones and catch bobcats or even coyotes in some of the great big ones. This is just the regular size one here, which you'd catch possums or raccoons with, and basically you just set this latch right here, and I'll show how you do that a little better in detail. And then when you got her set, they put your bait back here, and you're kind of better off to brush this in a little bit. And then your critter will come in here, and he'll step on this little trigger when he walks in to get to the bait, which is on the back side back here. Steps on that trigger, and it down closes the door. And then he's just in there, and it's good for if you need to relocate him or whatever your use is. You can catch, like I say, cats. This will basically catch anything. I've caught squirrels and possums and rabbits and all kinds of stuff in just this simple, cheap live trap there. But then moving on to something else that most people know of is your little foothold traps, like this here. This is a double cool spring here, and this is a Bridger 1.5, kind of a little guy, and I've got it on a little super stake earth anchor there. So you put your rod in this and drive that into the ground, and then whenever they pull that chain, it sets it like that, like an anchor, so it drives in easy, but it can't come back out easy. And this one has a dog here, so you'll set this guy. Put my knee up here, maybe you can kind of see me do this here. You'll set this little guy just like that. Just like so. And then you get her flush like that. And this, you can catch just about anything in it. It's got some hair left on there. I've caught a fox on this one. This little 1.5 is a great size for foxes, but you could catch a bobcat. You could probably get a coyote in there, but I'd rather use something a little bigger, like a 550, or this is a number 2 Duke. You can tell it's a little bit larger, or maybe even a number 3. I've caught them on number 3s. But essentially you've got your pan there, and your critter comes through, and he steps on that, sets that pan off just like that, and then you've got him trapped. And it doesn't hurt him. I mean, I'm sure it probably don't feel great, but it doesn't cause any injuries. You could always let them go, just like so. And this you'll set, usually covered up in the ground. You can do blind set, or you can use bait, and you can, like I say, this is real versatile. You can catch just about anything on these. I've even got some much larger ones. They're actually set out right now. I don't have them with me, or I'd show you, but they're number 5s, and I use them for beaver, fully submerged, and drowner sets on those. But that's just a cool spring trap, just a simple foothold. Like I say, you can catch just about anything on that predator trap there. Then you've got something that takes a lot more skill to run, and we can't run these here in Oklahoma anyways, but I don't know, I bought a pack of them one time before I knew they were even not legal. But this is just a snare or a cable restraint, but it's a snare. Pretty much you'll set this on a trail or whatever, and it has a stopper on it for deer legs, wherever, so it don't cinch down too tight. That's what that little deal there is a stopper. And the way this works is it can tighten and keep tightening, but it doesn't loosen. So whenever he pulls that way, it doesn't loosen. You have to manually slide it like that to loosen it. And this, you'll tie this end off to a stake or whatever, and so your critter, whether it's a coyote or whatever it is, will come through here, and it just cinches down just like that. When he steps his head through there, or his leg through there, or what have you, and it cinches down, and then it doesn't loosen back up. He can't grab that and pull that and loosen that back up. You have to manually do it right here. This is the only way to, you gotta be able to grab that to loosen that snare. But like I say, I've never actually used these. They're not legal here in Oklahoma, so I have them, but maybe someday they change the regs and I'll try them out, because that would be a lot of fun to try to get a critter to step through there. Whereas like with a foothold, like this guy, you've got to, the challenge of something like this is that you have got, that wild animal can go anywhere in the woods, anywhere. It can travel miles and miles. You know, there's just millions of acres of land. It can go anywhere, but you've got 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches on that pan there that you've got to get that critter to step on. Like I did this bobcat this morning. And that's, to me, that's just really impressive, to get an animal to step right there. Of all the places he has to step, you're gonna put his paw right there. To me, that's just crazy. That's really impressive. That's fascinating. But then we got, this is a dog-proof trap. So you hear them called can-style traps and stuff like that, but it's just a dog-proof, and I've got it on a concrete form stake here. Is all that is. I mean, what you're going to catch with this, I've heard of people catching like rats. I've heard somebody getting chipmunk, and they'll get down in there and get caught. But pretty much what you're going to catch with this is raccoons and possums. That's it. You can't catch a bobcat or a coyote. They're not going to get their paw in there. So, I mean, essentially, that doesn't work. That doesn't trap. But anyhow, so how you'll set that thing is, this is your dog here, right here, and this is your trigger right here. And so you'll squeeze that guy. This one's kind of got mud caked all over it. Okay, cleaned out. Okay, and so now then, you're going to squeeze that guy down just like that, and set your dog right on that trigger there, just like that. I don't know how well I showed that, but wrapping that around so your dog's right on that trigger there. And then you got a little trigger in there that on this one they have to pull up on. This is a Duke dog proof here, and anyhow, he reaches in there and gets on that trigger, and he'll have to pull up on it. I'm not sure I can really do it with this stick here, but essentially when he pulls up on the trigger on the inside of there, essentially what it's doing is pushing this trigger down right here. He's pulling up. It's a lever, so he's pulling up in there, so it's pulling down right here, so this flies off, so this catches, pulls his paw there. I'll show that if I can here, just like that. And so what's catching him is this little hoop right here. That's what's catching him in that, when he's got his arm in there. So you can kind of see that. That comes back and catches him right there. And so these are like a slam dunk. If I'm out trying to catch raccoons or possums, throw this out, fill it up cat food, marshmallows, use peach rings, I've used gummy bears. I don't think anything really works any better than anything. I prefer cat food. It's simple, it's easy. I think it's got a real good smell to it, real strong smell to it. I don't like the smell, but a raccoon does. And especially if you use like a fish cat food. This is essentially the same trap. I've got a little rebarb stake on there, but this is a Bridger dog proof, and it's got a cutout. I think it's a Bridger T3, I think. And the trigger in there is a little hoop. Also, probably I'm not gonna be able to show it, but it's a hoop instead of just a straight line trigger, which I don't know. I don't really like it any better. I don't really like it any worse, but it's the same essential thing. It's catching just like that. But same essential thing. Raccoons and possums. Then you got something a little meaner here, and this is a conibear here. This is a 330 conibear, and I've got it in a mess as per usual. Or body gripper, they'll call them body. I've heard these called body grippers and stuff, but it's a 330 conibear style trap, conibear, whatever. But anyways, this guy here, so you'll compress these, and there's some guys that do these by hand, and I think those guys are freaking men. I'll guarantee you that, because I use a pair of setters. I'll lay the pair down here somewhere. Here they are. So I'll use a pair of setters on these, and I'll show you how I do that. Don't mind the old hot rod here. I ain't gonna put no dents in that thing. Ain't gonna bug it. Just don't have a table set up here, so this is my table. So these give you a little bit more leverage, and they'll just hook on to these big springs like that to help you get some leverage. Set that dude. Anyways, and I've caught beavers with these. The problem, I just don't really ever use them. For one, they're dangerous. You see some bad injuries happen. So here's how you stake it off. But with this, you put your little stake there. But so you get both of these compressed, and then this box flips inside of that box. They flip so you can set this latch on this trigger, and you can bend these however you want them. And essentially something comes through here, and that dude, in these two boxes, they start like this and they flip like this, and these springs, they want to come open, and this trigger, this head of this trigger is just barely, can't really find it, there it is, it's just barely sitting on this. Well, I guess that latch is barely sitting on this trigger here. And when this moves, it pushes this trigger up, or this latch up here, and then it allows these springs to come back open. They're compressed whenever it's set, and they come back open. And then these two boxes that are flip-flop, they want to flip-flop back, and it'll pinch them. It'll catch them in there, and it's usually going to kill whatever's in there. But the thing I don't really like about them, other than they're being pretty sketchy, is here in Oklahoma, you can only use these on private land, fully submerged. So I've been lucky enough to catch a beaver in them. Just to say I did, but I just mostly am trapping public land, and these aren't legal at all on public land here. So you'll see me doing drowning sets and stuff more often than not. I got a video on some drowning sets I can show, but that's pretty much it. That's what those are the main styles of traps you'll see. There's some other stuff out there, but this will pretty much get you started. Anybody can start off with a live trap like that, and then these dog proofs are for you start getting a little more into trapping. You're like, okay, I'm kind of, you know, want to expand my horizons, and that's simple, you know, especially if you get a pair of setters that hook on there. I don't use them, but if you get a pair of setters, you can, even a kid can set one of these, and you can get your kids out trapping raccoons or possums. And then you got your footholds, which you're still pretty simple, but they're quite a bit more advanced. You know, you can catch anything in one of these, you know, and that's when you really get into trapping bobcats and coyotes. Coyotes are really hard. It's tough trapping. I've been lucky enough to get a few of them, but you got some simple ones like these Duke No. 2s, cheap, simple, and you can pay quite a bit more money for some nicer ones. I like to run MB550s. That's what an MB550 is what I caught this bobcat in. That's MB550, and but you could have easily done it in this Duke No. 2. This is just a little bit lower end trap. But anyhow, I figured I'd make a rundown on some of the different styles of traps since we're well into trapping season now. I'm a little bit late on this, but hope y'all enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. You know, show this video if you got a buddy that's just wanting to get into trapping. Send them this video and like it, subscribe to us. We greatly appreciate it.